Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to a new educational video. Since you guys like my previous videos about how to analyze any chart from scratch without using any indicators, just by applying simple price action concepts and basic market structure, today we are going to go over US 500, which is an index as known as S&P 500. Because last time we did 2 forex and 1 stock, and I promised that we will also go over an index soon. So let's do it. Cheers. So as usual, I'll try to make it as educational and detailed as possible. So make sure to watch it till the end. For those who have watched the previous videos, know that we always start from the daily and weekly. If you haven't yet, I'll make sure to attach the links in the description below. So first of all, as mentioned, we'll start from the daily and weekly timeframes to know if we are overall bearish, bullish, or stuck inside a range, right? If you are overall bearish from a long-term perspective, we'll be looking for sell setups when the corrective is about to end to catch the next impulse. If you are overall bullish, we'll be looking for buy setups to catch the next impulse upwards. If you are in a range, we'll be looking for sell setups around the upper bound and buy setups around the lower bound until, of course, eventually price breaks the range upward or downward. Then we'll be looking for buy here and sell here, right? And we can clearly see that we are overall bullish on US 500. So we will go over this scenario, right? And the reason why I picked this one, because we don't have typical support and resistance. Even if we zoom out, we can see that this one has been trading higher and higher and making new all-time highs. So new all-time high, new all-time high, new all-time high, and so on. Right? That's why we don't have typical support and resistance like here, for example, where price failed to break it upward, then price broke it upward for it to become support and so on, right? So we have a typical support and resistance as mentioned when we have a level or a zone, of course, when price failed, when we have many failed attempts to break above a certain level, and of course it would be a support if we have many failed attempts to break below a certain level or area, because we treat our support and resistance as areas or zones and not laser lines. So because we don't have typical support and resistance here, we will go over the round numbers. And how to know where are the strongest round numbers? It depends on every instrument, right? Because many instruments maybe they would be trading around 0.3, maybe another instrument would be trading around 100 and 200. And here we can see that we are trading now around 3K to 4K. So the strongest round numbers would be, yes, we may consider that the 3.1K, 3.2K, 3.3K are strong, but the strongest would be 3K, 3.5, and 4, right? So first of all, we'll draw our 4K. Let's make it, let's keep it in green, and then we'll draw our 3.5 and 3. Let's make this one in blue. Perfect. And the 3K, anyway, we will not need it now since price is around the 4K, but just for you to learn in a practical way. So here we go, and let's make this one in green as well. So that we have green, blue, green. So price is currently trading inside this floor. So we'll be looking for what? For sell and buy. That's first of all. Now we didn't do anything yet. We just added our round numbers. Next, we'll try to find, since we are overall bullish, right? And when we are overall bullish, we'll be looking for buy setups. But when and where? Right? We want to see when the corrective move is about to end to catch the next impulse movement. And how do we know that? We try to find our upper bound and lower bound, which are our non-horizontal support and resistance. So we try to find the range, and we'll try to draw what I call the outer trend line, which is not broken yet. And here we can clearly draw this trend line, right? The price is going up, and the price seems to be respecting this overall direction to the upside. And when we draw our trend line, we always make an offset to see if the offset would make any sense. And in this case, it makes perfect sense. We can see that price rejected this one and this one. And if you remember, we drew our trend line from here, and we make an offset, and it happens that that price is also respecting the upper trend line, and the upper one, which I consider an overbought area, since price is going up and then rejected it. And again, rejection, right? So as price approaches our upper brown trend line again, even though we know that we are in an uptrend, but what we will not wait only for buy setups here. We can also trade a trend reversal sell setup, since we've got a trend line from daily, so we've got a very big range, right? Of course, we will not enter buy here, since the price is already in an impulse and we want to catch the next impulse. So we'll be waiting for the corrective and then catch the next impulse. So long story short, for now, we'll be looking for sell setups. And the reason why it's a very strong area, because not only we have the 4K, now we also have the intersection of this non-horizontal trend line. So this is a very strong area to look for sell setups, because as I mentioned, it's the intersection of the 4K and the non-horizontal brown trend line. So now we know what to look for the recent price action. And as price approaches our lower brown trend line, of course, we'll be looking for trend following bar setups. And it happens to be also, we also have an intersection. And before we go over it, let me show you an example. This 4K is a zone and not a laser line. We always treat our support and resistance, or even round numbers, as zones on our charts and not laser lines. So it should be something like this. So price can still go till our brown trend line until the upper bound of this resistance before going down. Okay, that's why we will not sell immediately, because our resistance in this case is not a laser line. But I try to keep it as simple and clean as possible. That's why I draw it as a laser level, but we treat it as a zone. Let me take a break. Okay, great. So sell here, as mentioned previously. And as price approaches our lower one, we'll be looking for a buy. And it happens to be, as I was telling you previously, that it's also a very strong rejection area, because it was acting as resistance here, then price broke it upward for it to become support. So now it's acting as support, right? So when price approaches it, it's an entire area, as mentioned before. Okay, we'll be looking for buy setups. So here is a very strong zone, as well as it's the intersection of the support, and it happens to be a round number as well, and this non-horizontal support, as you can see in brown. Now that we know where we stand in the market and what to look for, and usually I make it like this, a big circle, that I will be looking for sell setups here, but for now I will not do it, but just for you to learn how to prepare your chart. Okay, so now even if I close my chart now and open it after 1 week, I won't have to do the analysis all over again. Of course, I will save it, but when I open the chart again, I will immediately know that I will be looking for sell here and buy here. Anyway, let's delete it to make the chart cleaner, and delete this one as well, as we don't need it. So now we know where we stand in the market. We can zoom in to lower time frames to look for a better view first, and then we'll be looking, as mentioned, for sell setups here on lower time frames. So we need extra confirmation and trigger. If we zoom into H4 time frame, we can see that we already have this brown trend line, this brown trend line, and we can see that we also have a trend line here. We can draw it like this, right? So let's make this one in red. Yes, let's do it. So we've got this one here, and we can even extend it around here. And we also can make an offset as usual. We can see that now we can't really touch many points, but if we make it like this, we always try to touch as many points as possible. So like this, this trend line would be even stronger. So let me make it touch as many points as possible. Let's make it lower, and that's it. And as you can see, this line is a very, very strong one. So now as price approaches this area, it would be a very strong area to look for sell setups. Moreover, we do have a supply zone here as price made an aggressive movement upward from it. So starting from here, we'll start to look for sell setups as we have the 4K and supply, knowing that US 500 can still go a little bit up to get more liquidity, test these trend lines before going down. Okay, that's it. So now we know where we are in the market from a long-term perspective and from a medium-term perspective. And from these two time frames, long-term and medium-term, they both agree that we are only looking for sell setups now, even though we know that price can still trade higher, but we are only looking for sell setups since the probability that price goes down from a rejection resistance area is more than the price go up, right? And we are nothing but risk managers, right? We are trying to put the odds in our favor, right? And to find areas where the market would give us an edge, right? And here we are only interested in selling US 500. And of course, the only place where we'll be looking for buy setups is starting from here, because we have a demand, price made an aggressive movement upward from it, right? And we have this non-horizontal medium support, knowing that price can still go lower. That's this brown trend line before going up. But anyway, let's keep it step by step. For now, price is around here, so let's zoom in and monitor the current price action. Let's put on auto again, and here we go. We can see that the price is trading like this: impulse, corrective, impulse, right? So now we are in the impulse phase, and the price already made a movement which is almost equal. Let me put in orange. Here we go, right? So the price already made a movement. If we zoom in, if we make it lower, you can see that the price already made this impulse. Of course, the price can still go trade a little bit higher before going down, or even higher from here for going down. But you got the idea that we are currently at the end of the impulse, because the price is now overextended. So price went up, then went down, now went up. We are looking for sell setups, especially that were around the 4K and these areas as mentioned previously. So now we zoom into our time frames and look for sell setups. We can zoom into H1 or M30, but let's keep it now clear. Let's keep it on H1. We can see that we previously had this corrective movement. The price was making lower lows and lower highs, right? Lower lows and lower highs. Then price broke above the previous high. Now the uptrend started, and starting from here, the price started to make higher highs, right? Higher highs and higher lows, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. And as you can see, the price failed to break below the previous low many times. Let me show you an example. So here we've got a low, the price couldn't break below it, and so on. So we keep updating our lows, and especially here, we are looking for sell setups. Why? Because as mentioned again and again, it's around a rejection area and not laser line. So the price can reject from here and without even touching it, or price can overshoot it and trade like this before going down. Okay, that's why we always wait for extra confirmation and trigger. We want the sellers to prove to us that they are taking over now, and clearly the sellers are not in control. The buyers are still in full control, as the sellers weren't able to break below the previous low yet. However, we can see that this one was trading higher the buyers were very strong. As you can see, very big impulse movement and very steep, right? So steep impulse movement. However, we can see that the impulse is getting flatter here, right? That's when we understand, which gives us an early alert that we might have a shift in momentum, but we are not sure when yet, right? But if it's giving us an early alert that we should now start to look for US 500 closely, that the reversal might happen soon. Let me show you again. Steep impulse, right? And now it's going flatter. And next we can expect a shift in momentum. But for the shift in momentum to be confirmed, the price has to break below the previous low. And it happens that we can also draw what? The trend line, right? So here we go. Many touches. And we can even, as usual, we try to make an offset. Let's make this one in blue since we don't have blue here. Here we go. Nice. So now this is our previous low, as this one is still forming, right? If price breaks it downward, now we can sell. Why? We are not selling blind around resistance because we've got many indications or confluences that the price might fall from here, and we are entering with an extra confirmation. We've got the upper red trend line, the upper brown trend line, the 4K, right? And this market structure which is telling us that the momentum might be shifted soon. And again, I insist on the word soon, might, and potential, because nothing is confirmed yet. So for now, if price goes up from here, then this one would be our updated last low. So price was around here, right? This one was our last low. Then price went up, this one becomes our last low. And price do like this one becomes our new last low. You already got the idea. So now if price goes like this and then breaks below our area, then we can sell on the break downward. Now we can sell here, but for extra confirmation, let's keep it here because this area is very close to this area. So it doesn't mess with our risk to reward ratio. And of course, when the sell is activated, the stop loss would be just above the last swing high. So for now, the last swing high is here, right? Let me draw it, is here. So the stop loss should be like this, right? But for example, if price goes like this, and as you can see in my projection in purple, and make a new high here, then the stop loss should be above the last high. But we can't really know where the high will form as the setup is still forming. And we target a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And when the sell is activated, the first area to look for buy setups would be around here. Since why? We have this non-horizontal support from H4, and we also have this demand zone, which is this entire area because we have two minor demand zones. So this entire area is where we'll be looking for buy setups. Anyway, let's delete it because price is still far from it and to keep the chart clean. That's it for US 100. Now we've got the idea and we've got the logic on how to start, how to analyze, how to zoom out to look for key rejection areas, then zoom in to look for triggers and extra confirmation. That's it, and I'll see you on part 4.